Hello everyone, welcome to English at Fingertips. In this video, I am going to discuss the poem Crossing the Bar. The poem has been written by one of the greatest Victorian poets, Lord Alfred Tennyson. The poem was written in the year 1889 when Tennyson was about 80 years old. During this time, Tennyson went on a voyage to the Isle of Wight. While the poet was on his way to the isle, he severely fell ill, and owing to his old age, he thought that he might not recover from the illness. So he wrote this poem dealing with the themes of life and mortality. Thankfully, Tennyson recovered from the illness and he went on to live till 1892. In these 3 years, Tennyson wrote a few more poems, but before his death, he asked his son to put this poem at the end of all the volumes of his poetry. So let us read the poem and find out how does the poet dealt with the thought of his impending death. Crossing the bar. Sunset and evening star, and one clear call for me. In the initial lines of the poem itself, the speaker describes the setting of the poem. He says that it was the time of sunset, signifying the end of the day. And then he says that it was also the time of the evening star, signifying the beginning of the mysterious night. For those who do not know what an evening star is, an evening star is not really a star, but it is actually the planet Venus. It outshines all the other stars in the night sky. In a way, in this line, the speaker compares sunset, that is the end of the day, to the end of his life. And then he compares evening star, that is the beginning of the night, to the beginning of his afterlife. So it was in the time of evening when the speaker hears a clear call. He feels as if someone is calling him. It was the call of the unknown that the speaker is talking about. It was the call of the death. By the term clear call, the speaker refers to the fact that he was very much sure that it was time for him to leave this world. His death was at hand. Now, before we move forward, it's time to understand a few more things. As far as the title of the poem Crossing the Bar is concerned, what do you think the poet means by the word bar? Actually, by the term bar, the poet here refers to a sandbar. A sandbar is a long raised area of sand below the surface of water, especially where a river enters the sea. It is usually formed by the moving currents. Now, if you look at the picture, this portion is the sandbar. It comes between the sea and the river. The poet compares the river with our life and the sea with our afterlife. So this river is our life and this sea is our afterlife. Our life is like a river. It has its limitations. But our afterlife is like a sea that is boundless and mysterious. It doesn't have any limitations at all. It is endless. It is eternal. So in order to make the journey from river to the sea, one must cross the sandbar that comes in between. Here, traveling at sea is used as a metaphor for the journey from life into death. Thus, the bar represents the boundary between life and death. Now coming back to the poem, the speaker says that, "And may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea." The speaker here says that when he is put to sea, that is when he travels from life to afterlife, he wants the journey to be smooth and calm. He doesn't want the people around him to cry and make noise when his soul leaves his body. So through this line, the poet means to say that I do not want anyone crying around me when I am going to die. But such a tide as moving seems asleep, too full for sound and foam. The poet hopes that his journey would be a smooth one without any sound or turbulence. He wishes for a tide that is so full that there won't be any sound or foam. The poet hopes that his journey would be so effortless that he would feel like he had been sleeping. The ship would find it difficult to cross the sandbar if the water level is not high enough. It might get stuck in the sandbar. But with the sandbar under the water, the ship would sail smoothly over it without any difficulty. When the tide would be full, the water level would be naturally increased, and therefore the sandbar would go below the water level. So the journey would naturally be so smooth that he would feel that he had been asleep. When that which drew from out the boundless deep turns again home. By the term boundless deep, the poet here probably refers to the sea that is so vast that nobody knows how deep it is. The water of the vast seas evaporates and goes up to form clouds. The rain from these clouds come down upon the earth to feed its rivers. And at last these waters from the river goes back to the seas. Thus, this is a cyclical process where the water that is drawn from the vast seas returns back to its home again. Just like the water of the sea, the speaker must also come back to his own origin. Here the poet refers to the belief that life on earth is a temporary state of the human soul. Once we die, our soul leaves our body and returns back to its origin, which lies in another realm. The cyclical process of birth, death, and rebirth has been compared to that of the water cycle. Twilight and evening bell, and after that, the dark. Twilight is the period just before it becomes completely dark in the evening. If we look very carefully, we will find that the first stanza and this stanza, that is the third stanza, represent very similar ideas. In this stanza, the speaker describes the gradual progression from evening to complete darkness. The sun has already gone down the horizon and dusk is settling. The speaker can hear the evening bell ringing. And then darkness sets in. This journey from twilight to complete darkness can be compared to the speaker's journey from life to afterlife. And may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. The meaning of embark in this case is to begin a journey. The speaker again expresses his wish that when he begins his journey towards afterlife, people around him should not cry over his death. He does not want others to mourn, and he himself does not want to become sad, as he has already accepted his fate without any kind of regrets. For though from out our bourne of time and place, the flood may bear me far. The meaning of the word bourne is some kind of limitation or boundary. And the meaning of the word bear is to carry. The speaker hopes that the flood may carry him far away, beyond the boundaries of time and place. The living world has its boundaries of time and space, but the world of the dead does not have any boundaries at all. Thus, the speaker is not at all worried about his death. Rather, he sees death as a freedom from worldly limitations. I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar. Here the word pilot might be considered as a direct reference to God. Just like a pilot who controls the journey of a ship, God also controls the journey of our life. Therefore, it can be assumed that by pilot the speaker means God. As we have already discussed, the bar symbolizes the threshold between life and death. So the speaker says that he hopes to see God face to face when he would finally cross the bar. Thus, the speaker ends the poem on a very positive note by gracefully accepting his own death with the hope that he would meet God in his afterlife. The journey as well as the video ends here. But as we know, every ending paves way for a new beginning. So I will see you guys in some other videos. That's it for today. Goodbye.